Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Trijay Misra and I will be teaching you Python Revision Tour 1 today. Okay, so not going to introduction, let's start the chapter. So I will be uploading a video of how you have to approach your paper and how you have to approach your chapters. First you should start with the chapter Python Revision Tour, or you should start with the chapter Computer Networks. Okay, so first, as the book is given to you, we will start with the very first chapter, revision tour 1. Okay, so according to me, the revision tour 1 or the revision tour of Python is the most easiest chapter to talk about actually. So moving on, rather than wasting our time, Python revision 2 basically talks about the main basic elements that you require while studying a Python language. Like, when we talk about Python, what comes in our mind? Python is a language. It's a language. Okay, so the language basically tells us how we put ourselves or our daily day-to-day work in the computer language, how easily we can use in Python. So main basic fundamentals that you need to know in this chapter, we will be discussing them. So first, let us move on to the introduction. Okay, so, the Python introduction, of course, you won't be asked the name of who created it, but you should know. In case you go to Cbse, you might require this name, that who created Python. So, we all know that the name is already in your screen. Okay, Guido van Rossum created the Python language. A respectable man created this language, making our lives easier. The language was released in February 1991. Okay, it was released in examination atmosphere. Okay, okay. Python got its name from a BBC comedy series. Okay, it was in Monte Carlo's Python, I guess. Monte Carlo's Python Flying Circus. It was from there. Maybe. Okay, what you need to note it down in this PDF, in this first whole PPT, you see that Python is an object oriented language, OOP. You when you go will go to your college life, you will be studying about OOPs. Okay, object oriented programming languages more briefly. And over here it's written that Python is free to use. You don't need a premium to use Python. And the other languages that are influenced from Python are ABC language, which was replaced by the name Basic, and Modular 3. These are some examples that are given. Okay, moving on to this second PPT. What we talk about in this PPT is that the it is an object oriented programming language. We know that, read that earlier. It is an expressive language. It is an expressive language in the sense that we can express ourselves, like what we need, what you need in our daily life. We can express our needs in here, like you give comments, you express your language, leave it. Okay, moving on to, it is an interpreted language. Okay, it has compiler, it has an interpreter. We will talk about what is a compiler and interpreter later on. Okay, by its completeness. Okay, the PPT seems a little incomplete in here. Leave the fourth point. Okay, cross platform language. Okay, don't go to this statement too longer. Okay, like, it is a cross platform language, as in if you have read the chapter, say, file handling, what do you do over there? SQL, you basically link with other languages as well. Python can work in many different platforms. Like in SQL you have used Python, and then in file handling also you have used Python. So you see, it can function into very different platforms as well. So that's the reason it is named as a cross platform language as well. So it is an open and free source, not free. Okay, variety of usage and applications. Okay, this is all about the features. So to be honest, in the um, main question that can pop out in an examination from these two PPTs, that I can tell you, that is Python an object oriented programming language? As it can come as an MCQ. It can come as an MCQ. Rather, it can be asked as an assertion based question also. Okay, so you need to focus on that point, and it is a free and open source. What are the limitations of Python? The limitation of Python comprises that it is not a fast language. Even Java isn't a fast language. There are older languages, C++, all are older languages. They aren't that fast. They need time to be compiled and interpreted. Lesser libraries than C, Java, and Perl. We already know that Python has lesser libraries like math. Don't confuse it with math module. There are modules, there are methods, there are functions, and these are talking about libraries. That is something different. We haven't taken the approach towards library in class 12 and 11. We will be studying about that when you do your btex in your college. Libraries aren't taught um, briefly in this classes. Not strong on type binding, leave this point. Not easily convertible, as in you can't easily convert Python language to C++, because C++ something is very an old language. We know it is one of the most old languages, and it cannot be transferred from Java language to SQL language. Like, it cannot be convertible. Okay, it, it's a very easy language for us to understand. What the computer does, it converts into binary code, but from that binary it cannot be converted into something more different language. That's what makes it more difficult in this Python language. So I told you the main basic question that can be asked from those PPTs. Okay, very less chances from those PPTs anything could be asked. Huh. In a passage of text, individual words and punctuation. Okay, these are talking about tokens. Rather than going on to so many lines, only stick to the line that talks about the smallest individual unit in a program is known as token. Okay, for example, there are lots of lines created in this PPT. I haven't created this PPT for, I tell you, even the website name is also given in the down. Okay, I've taken it from there. I would have rather preferred the book. hmm. I am sitting with the book as well in order to see if I don't miss any point over here. Okay, so as the book goes on, I'm just going, it gives the introduction, it directly jumps on tokens. So I'll also do the same. Tokens are the smallest individual unit in a program. Okay, it also is known as lexical unit. Lexical unit, this term must be remembered by you, can be asked in MCQ. The smallest individual unit in a program is known as token. Okay, the tokens are further divided into more parts, like uh, every unit or individual on the earth is known as an entity, you can say. Like that, similarly, each entity in this Python program is known as token. It can be a punctuator, it can be an operator, it can be a literal, it can be an identifier, it can be a keyword. We will further classify these tokens and get to know what they're about. So first in this line you can see it's the comment. Okay, first line is all a comment, don't confuse in that. We're talking about the program in here. So in this program you see for is one word, I is another word, in is in another word, range is another word, a bracket, and then one, then comma, then 10, then bracket, then that colon. So you see there are so many um, tokens, to be honest. Even for is a token. For, I, in, range, the bracket, open bracket, 1 comma 10, then closing bracket, and those colon. So there are basically 10 tokens in the first line that we're talking about. It comprises mainly of all the punctuators. It comprises of the operator, brackets, keywords. Like range is a keyword, it's already marked in there. I'll remove this thing for you to see. I will be providing you this PDF as well in the description box. Okay, you need to search it anywhere. Okay, moving on to keywords. This definition can come in your exams. Okay, and in the previous PPT, the question that we discussed is what are tokens, and the other name of token is lexical unit. And over here we're talking about keywords. Okay, the keyword is a word having a special meaning reserved by programming language. So test it. You can write for, it is a keyword is the word having a special meaning for the Python interpreter also, as well as you can write it has a special meaning in the programming language as well. But I'll suggest you to write the Python interpreter. It sounds even more professional. Okay, every keyword is assigned specific word, and it can be used for only that purpose. For example, we use range for only a definite reason, for iteration in a loop and stuff like that. This is a very nice list given in a keyword. This can be asked, like it can be given in the MCQ, like it was given in my pre-boards actually, that finally, accept, and import, and something very casual word was given, and you have to choose which one is a keyword and which one is not a keyword. Okay, so you can be confused with certain words which are not keyword. Non-local is a keyword. It can often be confused. Yelled is a keyword. You you often forget these keywords because you don't use it often. Yelled is something that you don't use. Okay, yelled, with, while you use, with also we use sometimes, but we don't use yelled. See, it's written in here. Let me mark it for you. Yelled. You often forget this words. That's the reason I'm marking it for you, because I'm also a student and I know what a student doesn't see at the first glance. Okay, like lambda, you can forget. You basically think that, oh, I'm giving a computer exam, that must be a trick, they're asking me from physics, that must be the thing, that this is not a keyword, and you mark it as not a keyword. And that's the time when you are caught by the teacher. Actually, lambda is a keyword, and you often miss that part. As is a keyword with pass. These are should be seen, because pass also people assert. Well, you people know class, continue, def, return, for, execute, and accept. These things but these things should be remembered, that I marked, that you usually forget. Moving on to what is identifiers. Identifiers are the names of different parts of a program that are given. Say, suppose int name is what? A variable. But the name is itself an identifier itself, because it is naming something, it is naming an entity. Okay, a function name is also an identifier. So you have to write. Identifier is actually a popular definition that is asked. Okay, that what are identifiers, you should be writing. Let me turn on the page, let me see what type of language is used in this book and what is there in the PPT. Okay, the identifier here are the names given to different parts of the world. For example, variables, two variables, objects, classes. Okay, same as that, nothing different used. You can write it from here as well. Okay, now this is the very important question, that what are the rules in naming an identifier. Suppose you are naming a variable. Okay, but you don't name a variable, the name of a variable cannot start with digit, like 9 name you wrote. It's a wrong identifier name, sorry. Okay, so you should be writing it as 0 9. From 0 to 9, the digits must be used either at the middle or at the last, but not in the front. No, no, no. Okay, and the first letter should not be a digit. First of all, it can be only A to Z letters, or else you can use underscore. Okay, it's a very famous question. Teachers usually give examples of lots of identifiers, and they ask which is a valid identifier. Okay, moving on. It cannot be a keyword. Okay, if you can't use the lambda as an variable name. Okay, so it will give you something wrong. Okay, space not allowed. An identifier space, like, see, I'll give you some examples. Okay, I'm using a tab. Okay, I have to use my fingers in it, right? Like, class, is this, I have not given a gap. Okay, class, is this a valid identifier? What do you think? Will wait, think the answer. Okay, the answer is no, it is not a valid identifier. Why is that so? Because class is a keyword. Okay, okay. Now let me turn on to the page over here. If there, see, class is a keyword. That's, if people said yes, this is a valid keyword, then it's alright. It's not a valid keyword. Okay, moving on. Tell me, say, is this a valid keyword? Underscore man. This is not a this is a valid keyword actually. See, underscore can be given. See the line, the first letter must be a letter or an underscore. Okay, it's for that reason. If this could be a dash, like upper end, then this could not be a valid identifier. You know the reason, because it cannot start with a symbol. Okay, let me see whether it's recording me or not. Yes, recording me. Okay, moving on. Okay, these rules should be nicely by heart. known to you. You don't need to revise. Like, see, you asked me, what are the rules for naming an identifier? Okay, what can it be? To the most, it can be of 3 marks. Not also of 3 marks. It could be only of 2 marks. Then also you can write 4 points for that. What are the points? You can write that it should not start with a digit. Number one, can only start with a letter or an underscore. Number three, it should not contain any symbol, and it should not contain any symbol or space. You can write that. And number four, you can write that it cannot be a keyword. So when you finish number one, sorry, 2 marks after 3 marks after whatever marks is given for you. Okay, these are the examples of valid keywords. You know the reasons. Okay, and you see, these are invalid. Why is this invalid? Because यहाँ पे Hindi, because there is a dot used in this part. See, and if is a keyword, and roll number has a space in between. That's the reason it's not a valid key in identifier. Okay, it starts with a dollar sign, so this is an invalid one. And over here it starts with a digit, and over here it has a symbol in between, so it's not a valid identifier. Okay, moving on to the actually I passed on how many minutes, I don't know, maybe 16 minutes or something like that. Moving on, I've taken a lot of time in those things only. How many pages are there? There are a lot of pages. Okay, okay. Literals. Literals are data items that have a fixed value. Okay, Python supports various types of literals: string literal, numeric literal, then boolean literal. Special literals are none, and literal collections. What's written over here? Okay, literals are of string literals, numeric, boolean, special. That's it. Only four. Why are there three written here? Little collections. Strike this off. Okay. Hmm. Only four. What are there? String, boolean, numeric, special. Special little is none. None basically specifies that there is no value. Okay, that only it specifies. What should be a statement? The none literal is used to indicate the absence of a value. This should be written by you. Okay, what is non literal? If it's a question given you for 1 marks, you should be writing that. Okay. Uh, Moving on. Hmm. String literal. What is string literal? String literal is a collection of letters enclosed in a double quote, double or single quote. It is, you know that. Okay, that Python. These are all literals, string literals. Moving on to the next. Okay, anything enclosed in anything, any damn thing enclosed in this single or double quotes is a string literal. It can be a digit, it can be an alphanumeric thing, it can be anything, it can be keyword as well. And then also it could be a string literal. String literals of two types. One is single line, one is multi-line. These are the single line literals that we talked about. Moving on to multi-line string. Multi-line strings have, see, multi-line strings can be divided in, this is the most favorite question. Okay, that 1 by 7 Preeti Bihar New Delhi India, this is a multi-line. See, but when you print this thing, it will be evaluated like this, it's same line. Okay, but if you print this way, see, it is printed this way. If you enclose them in say consecutive 3 double quotes, then they are printed the same as they are typed as. That's the same pattern they follow. Okay. Okay. Moving on to something. Okay, backslash also gives in the same line. Okay. These are some tabs. We usually use this two tabs only. Other than these, other things are not used, but just take a good look to this page. Nothing important in this page, to be honest. Size of string. What else? Size of string. Like the length of a string. It's talking about the length, not the size. ABC has 3 letters, so 3 size. AB slash isn't a letter. Okay, it is not counted as a letter. Meera, MEERA, it is 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. see, when the high slash is in between the letters, it's been counted in. Okay, see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. The upper wala quote is also a little over here, or sorry, letter, as a letter it is counted. Okay, when the backslash is in the middle, it is taken in the length size as well. Moving on, length, you should be knowing length function is used by people in order to find the size of the list. Moving on to numeric literals. What are numeric literals? You already know. Okay, कि कोट्स के अंदर अगर हम नंबर डाल दें, if a number is enclosed in the double quotes or single quotes, then it is known as numeric literal. Okay, numeric literals are of more of other parts. Hexadecimal, floating, like one is integer, another is floating. Okay, integer comprises of decimal, octal, hexadecimal. Decimal, octal, hexadecimal, three types of integer, and floating and complex. Okay, int, floating, complex. Complex, complex number is represented in the form of a plus bj. This is a real part, this is a complex part, like iota part, which has the imaginary part of the complex number. Okay, I'll tell you how you have to extract also the real part. Over here, if see z equals to a, wait, let me take a very valid example. Let me select a color, which color? Pink. Okay, j equals to 2 plus 3j. Okay, so this is the real part of the complex number, this is the imaginary part of the real complex number. If you want to extract the real part of the complex number, this is 2 not z. Okay, z dot real, will extract you the real part of the complex number, and j dot imaginary. Okay, this will give you the imaginary part of the complex number. Talking about the floating parts is what? See, like the examples in your book is given in here. We'll talk about is given as 3.e2, like exponential part, e4, 0.17 e5. Agar if e word comes, it means the exponential form comes, then it is considered as the floating part, floating point literals of the numeric literal. Okay, now talking about the integer, decimal, hexadecimal, and octal, you to know only how to represent it as. See the representation thing here. I'll slightly pause in this part, that hexadecimal. Just read this part, okay, over here. Hexadecimal and floating and parts, and from your book also. Whichever thing you refer. I refer this notes as well. It is quite a crisp part of a note. It basically summarizes the whole chapter very nicely. Boolean literal is only comprised of true and false. Nothing to talk about in here. Special is none. Other language is known as null. Okay, it's not a part of this. This thing is not written in the book, but the special literal is only none. Okay, null is only used, and null is used to specify that there is no value, there is an absence of a value in there. Okay, this only is specified in here. Moving on to the next part of the PDF, operators. Plus, minus, multiplication, division, these are operators. All are arithmetic operators, relational operators. Take a look at this thing, table. This table is an important part actually, because in the when you talk about exams, they basically give you a list of things, and they'll ask you which is a relational operator, which is an arithmetic operator, which is a logical operator. These are the main questions asked to you. Okay, moving on. Look, take a good look in this page. Okay, moving on to punctuators. Now the punctuators, how much time? 25 minutes, I guess, hardly. Huh. Punctuators are symbols which are used in programming languages to organize sentence structure and indicate the rhythm and whatever. No need to read this. I can bless you by saying that this will not be asked in your exam. Punctuator is never asked. Okay, but what are the punctuators? We'll take a look. Okay, these are types of punctuators. Already know, but backbone of Python program. take a look of this page, nothing to say. Okay, take a look at this part. The part which starts with hashtag, this is a comment which are not executed by the program or say the interpreter. It basically overviews this part. It is not made for the program to understand, it is for you or the person who looks into your program. He basically gets the knowledge of what is the logic behind your coding and why have you put the statement in here. This is for them. This is not executed by the interpreter. Okay, something very useless for the interpreter, very useful for us. Hmm. This is the expressions, statements, block, calling. mm, No need to look at this part right now. Calling part we'll see in the functions chapter. Okay. Very nicely. Okay, what are variables? You know this name is a variable, name is a variable. Okay, no need to waste time. Variables are temporary locations used to store values that can be further used in calculations, printing results. Every variable must have its own entity, type, and value. That's it. Just give a reading. These are storage containers. It's a good word. Store. These are not Python variables. Are not storage. What type of marking is this? Variables are not storage containers. They are like other programming language. Okay. In C++, we declare a variable radius. No need to see this part. Variables memory address. Okay, every variable has a memory address. No need to look at this part also. The things that you require in your exams at high time, I'll tell you to look only to those things. Dynamic typing. Okay, what is dynamic typing and what is static typing? Very important question. Now, what is dynamic typing? Dynamic typing is when the user forces it to convert into another type. Okay, implicit, explicit, data type, data conversion. You have read it in Java. Those who had their computer in class 10, they have read it, that implicit and explicit type casting and part. I'll be explaining it to a new version, but I don't use that terms. In Python, see, read the statement first. In Python, a variable declared as numeric type can be further used to store string type or another. Like it is forced to store something which is not its data type. Okay. Dynamic typing means a variable pointing. You have to, memorize this definition quite thinking of what the statement is saying. Say, think of a hand, like how you need to memorize the statement because you need to write ditto. Okay, because this statement is a very important statement. You need to understand, you write a ditto. Dynamic typing means a variable pointing to a value of certain type made to point to a value object of different type. Understood what I said? Dynamic typing, it means that a variable is pointing to a value. A variable is pointing to a value, say a value, which is made to point to an object of different value, something different. Like example, x equals to 10, 100 is there. It is forced to store something of literal. Although it was storing something of integer type, it is now storing something which is of string literal type. So see, it has been forced to do something, and that is when we tell it as dynamic typing. Okay. See, caution with dynamic typing. Always ensure correct operation during like if you divide I 0 equals to x by 2. Error. You cannot divide string. This is something that you know. You can't divide a number with a string. Okay. This will give you an error. Value type error. Read this part. Okay. For those who have understood. Read this part. It can be asked what is the difference between static and dynamic typing. Okay. It's an important question. Read this part. Then is multiple assignments. Nothing basically. A equals to B equals to C equals to J. It could not be done in Java. For example, for those who had been reading Java in class 10, you must remember that this couldn't be done in Java, but it can be done in Python. A equals to B equals to C equals to 50. Okay. A comma B comma C equals to 11 comma 22 comma 33. It basically is given as respective values are given. A means 11 equals to 11, B equals to 22, and C equals to 33. Oh, I actually use my fingers quite nice in this tab. Okay, while assigning values through different multiple assignment, remember that Python first evaluates the RHS and then assigns to LHS. Okay, you should use the thing. You should move like this, right side to left side. Right side to left side like this. Should use this thing. Moving on, assign multiple assignments. We talked about that. Moving on from right side to left side, x means y minus 10 means x will be 20 minus 10. 10. X is 10. See the printing value. This is a very good question actually. Ooh, nice practice. See, over here x, y, z values are given. First assign that x is 10, y is 20, uh, z is 30. Then you evaluate that z will be equal to x plus 1 means 11, z and y equals to z plus 10, z is 30, 40. So, and over c, x equals to y minus 10 means y is what, 20, 20 minus 10, 10. So see, the printing thing is x comma y comma j. So x will be printed first 10, then y 40, then z 11. Anything that you don't understand, just comment down below. Any suggestions you have, comment down below. Moving on to multiple assignments is another question. I'll give you this as homework. Okay, no need to waste time in this. I think 30 minutes of class is there taken already. Single input and single output. Okay, how do you take input? You take input as in marks input. Enter your marks. When you write input itself only without any say data type, input int that you usually write. If you don't write that, it means you're taking a string value in input. Okay, enter your marks 10, I sorry 100. Type marks strc. I told you, you took the thing as input. You use the statement input. If you would wait, you took the input thing you have written. If you have written it is at input int, then enter your marks. Okay, this thing you have written as same. Then if you had enter 100 and the type marks, if you had checked it, then it would have given you int as an answer. But over here it is given str. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Let me tell you one thing. When you write this kind of a statement, now what is done, basically, see, it takes input enter. See, this is a string value taken. Now what you are doing over here, string into 20. This is what you're doing, right? Thing you should do in here, first of all, it's not string into 20. That would have worked. What is done in here is that you are string into 20 by 100. You are dividing a string. You're dividing a string with a digit. It's a gambhir paap, you can say. It is incorrect. Okay. How can a string be divided by an integer? You tell me. Read and write input. Reading and inputting a number. Okay, and that's the thing that I have talked about. See, input, uh, int input. Okay, let me tell you one thing. Did I write input int? Okay, I'm sorry. My bad. Int is written on the outside. Okay. Int input. Then you write the statement. Okay, my bad. I'm sorry. See, int input integer. See, it is taking, say, suppose I am entering 18. Okay, now if you see, check the type, it will give you as int. Okay, now see, enter salary. It is given certain 79,000.5. This is a float version. Yeah, output through print, something that you already know. Print something enclosed in brackets is giving you an output. So go through this part. Okay, nothing to say. Input, output through print. Go to this part. I'll be sending you the PDF. Just take a good look. The thing that I'm marking like that, only you also study like that. Okay, and output through print. Okay, we have actually reached the end. Actually, let us recall program one. Open Cbse. These things are something very childish. Hmm. Suppose you're taking an input number, say 5. You're taking it as 8. Number 3 is num1 plus num3. It will give you as num3 will be returned. So it means it will give you 13 as an answer. These are some questions that should be practiced by you. Okay, I will be discussing a worksheet regarding the whole revision tool, not only just one but two as well, and I will be uploading that. Data types of number. Okay, we support the data types in number. Boolean, we discussed that already. Integers, Boolean integers, we discussed it already. Moving on, I discussed with you this part as well. Imaginary part, say a dot real gives you the real part. Okay, that also in decimal. Okay, and imaginary, emag, which will give you the imaginary part of the complex number. I discussed with you already. String data type already done. I think it's getting repeated in here. How much time? 36 minutes of class we have taken. Every 37. Every character of in string is at a particular position called index. Okay. Suppose, let me talk about the index first of all. Say I'm enlarging this PDF. Learning is a string. Okay, now how will we write the index? It will start from 0 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so it goes to say the length of this string learning is what? 8. But the index ranges from 0 to length minus 1. So this is how the range, the index varies in a string. This is the string. See, it has two types of indexing. One is backward and one is front one. I discussed with the front one. Similarly, it can be also indexed as -1, -2, -3 from the back. It means it ranges from -1 to length minus 1. Minus length minus 1 bracket. Okay, leave this. एक one starts from -1 to -7 and another from 0 to 6. Get to know. Length. Okay, length data type and stuff. List. Okay, list is something mutable. Okay, list is what? Okay, list is something that is enclosed within square brackets. Okay, square brackets. 10 minus 20, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 is written over there. Indexing can be done as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is how the indexing is done. List in Python represents a list of comma separated values of any data type. List is a list. See this part. I'll discuss the list in a separate video for those who don't know. Okay, list, tuple is immutable, list is mutable. Read this parts. Dictionary, it comprises of key value pairs. Okay, I'll be discussing this parts very soon. Okay, the data summary. Take a look of this thing, that numbers can be of these types, sequences can be of this types. Mapping, dictionary isn't a sequence, it's a mapping part of it. Mutable, mutable means that you can change the value, but immutable means you cannot change the value. For example, in tuple you can't change the value, it is an immutable data type. And in list, dictionary, you can change the values. That is the reason it is a mutable data type. Nothing. see these pictures. Okay. Read these parts. From mutable and immutable parts only this question can be asked: what is mutable and immutable? What do you mean by the term mutable or immutable? Variables internal. Okay. See, say you have value name. Say variable name. Name.id will give you the id address, and the value of an object type we discussed already. How if you enter it as input, enter your age, you say 18, it is stored as a string literal, not an integer. When you write as int input, enter your age, then you enter 18, then it is stored as an integer literal. Type of an object, I told you how you need to execute. Just open your python ideally and run these things. Okay. Evaluating logical expressions. Okay, let me talk about one error I talk. That is a very crazily important question. That is, a number divided by 0 gives you a runtime error. Okay, just remember this. For example, you have done syntax error. What is the syntax error? Suppose you have written for I in range 5 and you have not given a colon at the end, then that is a syntax error. Okay. Then logical error, for example, you have to find out numbers that are divisible by 5. What you have done, you have written num, say the variable is num, double slash, only slash, one slash 5. Rather than writing 5, you have written 6. Then that's a logical error. It means you have not understood what you have to do. That's not the computer's problem. Typecasting, I already discussed implicit and explicit typecasting. Math library. Math library comprises of these things. I'll suggest you, rather than seeing the math library from this PDF. Okay, this is the last page. Okay. Rather than using this last page of math variable, I'll suggest you to go to the last page of the first chapter, is page number 17, and look into this part. You see the table in here. See so many math library and import functions, or the functions of the math module are given. Okay. So basically, what I was talking about, that at the beginning of the chapter I told you that Python has a lot of libraries. So what are libraries in here? Math library in here we're talking about. I guess a module also. Okay. Okay, so class, this is the last page of our PPT. I think we have completed with our first chapter very nicely. I hope you guys are doing well, and make sure you feel like commenting something good, or whatever you have suggestions to tell me. Okay, this is my very first video on computers, and I think in this channel I will be uploading one of Boolean logic. It's of class 11, I guess. And I'll be moving on to Python revision tour the next time, comprising of other things. That are the things I didn't discuss, like the list, tuple, dictionary. I will be discussing very briefly. Okay. Right now we just did the very introduction. Okay. And I'll suggest you to go through the solve problems of your chapter, like this problems chapter, the non-literal and stuff. These are very important questions given in here, like what are the types of strings supported in Python, what is non-literal in Python, then what is the main error in the statements. These are some important questions. So I'm done with the first chapter, okay, of your first unit that comprises of 40 marks, Python revision 1, 2, and functions, file handling and data structure. So thank you everyone. Bye for now.